For G2 within their drafts, it's all about getting like explosive mid-jungle 2v2. We heard Frost talking about it on desk. You want to get caps out of mid lane. The game against Mad Lions looked so good. They haven't been able to replicate it quite so well. Whereas Rogue been super controlled, building excellent teamfight compositions, tons of pressure put on Larssen to be these teamfight DPS champions inside the mid lane. Been a lot of Corki and Orianna, which can be a little bit slower inside the laning phase, but his ultimates and his impact has been felt in all these games.
He's been having a great performance so far here in summer. The Syndra removed, the Varus removed, no real surprises on the side of Rogue. Trundle and Thresh going to get taken away. There's the Orianna taken away from Larssen as well. So now we see if it's an Aphelios Ezreal swap. We see if the Yuumi is the final ban here for Rogue, or whether that gets through. And Mikyx can play it for the second time this split.
I also just love that we're getting respect to Orianna bans now. Because like Orianna's been a champion that's been around for a long time, but she hasn't really risen up to prominence in quite a while. But Humanoid drew one last game. Larssen's Orianna, very obviously a big deal. And now an Aatrox ban. Tries to mix things up here. Kalista still open here for Perkz. Does he want to go for it?
Oh, baby.
Oh, this is going to be good. G2 going to be looking to take very powerful bot lane option here. And then Hansam, the question is, will it be Ezreal or the Aphelios? I'm inclined to believe it is the Aphelios. Rogue have been all about building very strong teamfight teams. He's already played 3 of his 4 games so far on that Aphelios. So when you've got an Ornn next to it, you have the engage, you have the item upgrades, you've got the scaling. Rogue are going to try to weather the storm early on and beat G2 in the team fights.
And we have seen that Kalista can struggle when we get to later portions of fights. You know, she can put a lot of spears into you, but if she's not ahead, she's not really putting that damage down. G2 will put a Nautilus by her side in the bottom lane. I will, quickly before you jump in, Ender, say that Perkz has played Kalista twice in Season 9. 100% win rate on the champ.
It looks good, especially when G2 play through bot. You know, Jankos has been all about Rek'Sai and Lee Sin. On blue side with a power bot lane, I think it's got to be the Rek'Sai here for Jankos. You know, G2 already sort of saying they want to pop off around 1 and 2 items here and shut down Hansama, a player who has been so pivotal for this Rogue lineup. You know, he feels like he's got this, you know, resurgence of confidence again, going for these crazy flashes, tower dives, the works. You guys have all seen the highlight reels just out of 4 games of footage so far this split. So G2's goal is going to be to shut him down.
And you know what helps protect an AD carry? Something like a Tahm catch. Now, it's not always the most exciting pick. He's not going to make flashy plays, not going to make flashy hooks, but what he can do is gobble up that AD carry and get him away from a hook from the Nautilus, get him away from the spears from the Kalista, or even from a knockup from Rek'Sai. So I like the pick if you expect G2 to play around bottom here. Rogue is saying, okay, we can protect our AD carry a little bit more. Volley Bear will be banned out. I assume it's a good matchup into the Ornn, although Ornn can survive a lot of matchups.
Yeah, the thing about Volibear is he wins most top lane matchups, especially against tanks or against other bruiser champions. He's very strong there, so I like the idea from Rogue. I wonder if we see maybe like a Mordekaiser ban already, if we're showing that there's going to be some attack damage coming through from the jungle from Jankos. We've seen that be a pretty good option against the Ornn. When he tries to pop R, you just suck him down into the Death Realm, and then the Forge God is left without a worshipper.
Do you think he only has 1?
I mean, yeah. I mean, we only have proof of 1.
That's true. That is true. I'll give you that. LeBlanc is the next ban.
Also, Volibear and Ornn hate each other in the lore, so another lore ban.
It just makes sense that you want to ban him out if you're playing Ornn in the top lane. Azir is removed by G2, the LeBlanc removed by Rogue. I'm wondering where G2 want to go with this final ban.
Corki, get it out of here. Larssen loves himself some Corki. Rogue are building up that team fight identity so far in their compositions. That would make a lot of sense to me.
Oh, instead it's going to be the Graves.
Okay. I mean, it follows a very similar footprint, I think. Whereas, you know, if Rogue wanted to really double down in the jungle and take an option that maybe doesn't match up super well against Rek'Sai early on, where Rek'Sai is going to be spamming ganks, Graves is one of those things that can just farm up a storm and definitely outscale.
Okay, I saw the Kassadin hover and I was like, no, we're not going to do Kassadin again, especially not blind.
No, definitely not blind.
Definitely not blind. That makes no sense. Hansama's just messing with us a little bit. Olaf will be the pick into the jungle. It is one of Inspired's signature champions. We saw him play at a huge amount in spring.
I mean, it's going to try to act as a buffer here for Rogue's composition because I think it's very unlikely we see Larssen try to take something that's dominating inside of the mid lane. So this is going to try to slow down Jankos' impact on the map. And of course, Olaf, because he farms so quickly, is always going to have about a half-level lead over the Rek'Sai, especially if there's going to be some spam ganks on the other side. But this could get fun here. Cap's trying to do a little Nemesis impression, maybe.
I mean, hopefully not at the end of last time.
Yeah, sure. Maybe the ultimates can be a little bit more on point there. And the question for me is, will this be the on-hit TF like we've seen Nemesis go for, or will Caps take inspiration from around the world where it's been much more about the AP TF? Regardless, it's a lot of power to gank both around mid lane with the CC setup and also to impact bot lane too.
And we're going to have a Kayle in the top lane here for Wunder as well. It's a little surprising to see Kayle brought out. She hasn't had the best of times throughout the course of summer season, but Wunder is a very strong top lane player, and into an Ornn, you get a pretty safe lane.
Yeah, we sort of talked about this because I think Cries was the player that picked it into the Ornn, and it didn't work out as well as they would have liked to, of course, last week. But this Kayle is like the ultimate equalizer to the Olaf pick. Like, Kayle will laugh in the face of Olaf past probably like one item, you know, and you can just drop the ultimate. Olaf isn't going to be able to do too much here. So whereas Rogue have 4 very solid scaling options and Olaf to bridge them into that area, G2 have a lot of early and mid-game power with Kayle as that late-game insurance. So G2 is going to be all focused around killing mid lane and setting up Caps to roam in towards that bottom lane, whereas Inspired needs to try and limit Jankos' impact on the map so that Larssen and Hansama can get to their items.
G2 once again going with what appears to be an aggressive style. They want to get early kills, they want to get on the board quickly. And we'll see if Caps's Twisted Fate can do it for them. I'm going to have a quick look to see when the last time he played it was, because it can't have been recently, maybe even back on his Fnatic days, because we have seen a rise in TF across the world, as you said. You know, it's been interesting to watch, and I'm sure we'll have more interesting things to see in this game as G2 take on Rogue. So Caps has played Twisted Fate twice at Rift Rivals 2019. Apart from that, he's never played it. So I think we just count those out.
Did he win those games?
Well, no, because G2 lost one of them, didn't they?
Oof, yeah, that's what I was trying to intend.
Yeah, it wasn't great, I do want to have a quick talk about Rogue, though, before we really jump on into the action, because a big thing that a lot of people are saying, you know, is like, Rogue are top of the league, number 1, 4-0, they're doing really well, and I don't want to discredit the performance they've had so far, but if you look at the games they've got coming up, I'm a little worried for this team. You've got G2 today, Fnatic next week, Mad Lions, and then Origin. And if they can get out of this, you know, 7-1, 6-2, I'm ready to jump aboard the hype train.
Sure. I think I'm not worried for Rogue. I'm excited to see how Rogue can perform against these teams, because the question is, are they the real deal with a relatively easy strength of schedule in their first 4 matches? And even if they beat G2, like, everyone's just gonna be like, G2, they're playing terribly right now. You know, it's early split.
Your impression? Or?
No, that's my like Reddit impression. I don't know.
Okay.
Don't ask me. But Rogue, of course, have these next games against the Fanatics and OGs of the world too, to try and prove themselves. And that at least makes me a little bit excited here to see what they can do in the next week and a half.
It's going to be a very interesting series of games for Rogue. And as you say, excited is probably the right word to use, because it will be an exploration of just how good this team is, how much they've leveled up since their 5th place performance in spring, I believe it was. Yeah, because they lost to Origin, didn't they? So 5th place. Here early on, Larssen's trying to get some damage down. He's gone for the Cull in the lane, Corrupting Potion for Caps. He's trying to take some more aggressive trades, whereas Larsen's he's happy just to farm up as much as he can.
I think this is sort of expected for the time being. I'm still sort of looking to see where Jankos makes an impact on the map. And his pathing, very interesting. Don't see this all the time on the Rek'Sai, forgetting about his Krugs, but will opt into the Gromp camp, so he does hit level 3 after his first 3. I believe this is one of the fastest ways you can hit level 3, especially like if you're to get a leash over on your red buff. You can tick over to that very quickly, but seems that he's just pathing down towards the bottom side. Now I'm a little curious, because this is not standard on the Rek'Sai, and you say, yeah, you can skip the blue buff, that's no problem, but he wants to cycle through these 3 camps, which tells me he's going to be playing around the top side a little bit more. You know, if you're forsaking your Krugs, right, and you want to make sure your base camps respawn quickly, that's higher EXP immediately, because those camps spawn after 2.5 minutes, as opposed to the 5 minutes on the buff, and that's why he would delay the blue buff here, on top of the fact he doesn't need mana, right?
Yeah, that's actually really insightful. I hadn't thought of it in that sort of degree. So we'll see if Jankos ends up just staying on the top side of the jungle for a while. We did have Just a quick showing that he is 100% win rate on this Rek'Sai this year, 2020. Spotted on a ward now makes it a little bit harder for him to get a gank, but instead he's just going to settle for the Scuttle Crab as Inspired comes up towards top.
See, this is really nice for Jankos. You know, if you assumed Inspired went bot to top full clear, he can actually set up for double Scuttle Crabs here, but will need to be around here to protect Wunder as he tries to bounce this wave into the tower, because Inspired is already ready to pounce.
Yeah, Wunder's going to get knocked up straight away. Does still have the flash. Will use it to try and get down towards the bottom side of this, but already First Blood is in for Inspired as he flashes the game over.
I really like that. You know, Inspired, he doesn't do anything too fancy, just clears his entire jungle and sneaks up into the lane. Wunder, of course, thought he had Jankos there to protect him, but Jankos a little bit too far away. And again, even if Jankos is there, Olaf, level 4, is going to shred through. You had the level lead, and of course, you know, Olaf, early game power is just so insane here. So now Jankos has to be back topside because there's no flash on Wunder. And this is not the greatest of news stories for G2, because again, mid lane, bot lane is where I think this Rek'Sai should be spending, you know, all of her time early on.
Well, Perkz is like, okay, TP, let's go. Doesn't even have the Destiny yet, but he's looking for the gank as Hans Summer tries to get into the bush. Heals up, but there comes the gold card, and there goes Hans Summer. Larssen TP'd into the fight as well. Vander's going to get locked up by Mikyx. Perkz is trying to get that gold card back around, and Vander is able to flash away. Inspired on his way back down for the counter gank, but Perkz has already got a double out of this. Gonna flash, has the gold card locked in, and of course, he can just force Inspired and Larssen away. There's no Ragnarok yet. Inspired still only level 4. Perkz once again lands the stun, and the root comes out as well. Mikyx gets taken out, but Perkz gets a kill. Another gold card from Perkz, and that's it's a very quick turnaround from G2.
So G2 win when Perkz leaves mid lane. He just gave up on it entirely. He's like, my jungler's camping top lane. I don't know what he's doing up there. Perkz gets it down towards bot side. It was also really pivotal, you know, if we can get a replay of that, how Perkz was able to juke out one of the first axes that came on towards him, because we'll see this one more time. The lane is pushed up. Rogue know that Jankos is topside, so they feel comfortable to push here. They also have a couple of TPs, but don't bring in the Ornn immediately, so Hansama, after the Devour is blown, will get knocked out, and that's where Inspired's like, I gotta get running down over here. He thinks he can make something happen. No flash, importantly, on the Olaf, and watch this as Perkz flashes away here, because he has the Nimbus Cloak too, which allows him to sidestep that really nicely. If he doesn't dodge that, that is quite likely a kill. Of course, he does have the gold card primed, but Larssen would be able to follow up on some damage, and Olaf would be able to pick up an axe. So nice stuff, and there, Inspired cuts through that aftershock because he's got the true damage.
Yeah, and that's one of those, as the support there, you're very okay with dying. Like you're saying, okay, I will go in with a hook. I expect to die here, but if we get a kill on my AD carry, that's just so much more beneficial for the team. I will bring attention to the fact that Vander has died. It's the first time this split he has died. I'm very sorry to say that. It means Reckless is the only unkilled player in our league, and he still has a game to play today against Origin. So we'll see if he can keep up that record, but for now, he is sole owner of that spot. Way pushing in here in the bottom lane as Inspired once again is sitting around the corner. But Jankos is here as well. He's just going to get his crocs.
I love this read, though, from Inspired. Again, he's trying to protect his lane as they need to push in, because this is prime gank opportunity from Jankos. Jankos red buff just spawned. Mikyx looking for the aggressive trades, and now there's no aftershock on Mikyx.
The Destiny is available though, and Perkz is working his way down. Could go in, decides against it after they spot Inspired out in the bush, and he will just walk his way back towards mid.
And I think if Perkz still has flash up, he goes in on that pretty much 100% of the time. Now, to be fair, Finn has level 6 and held onto his teleport through that entire play earlier on into the game, so maybe G2 are calling that one out. But I think if Perkz knows he can get out of the tricky situation, he'd be much more willing to go for that one. And I'm curious whether or not G2 would start the Drake here, but I don't think you can against the Olaf, a little too strong.
What I love from G2 here is how much time they bought from Inspired. They were like, Inspired, you know, you want to keep ganking top. You want to keep trying to get Wunder behind. You've already ganked him once. You got his flash, you got his TP. You want to do stuff. G2 were like, hey, we're going to continually force fights in the bottom lane for the next 5 minutes, and we'll see if you can ever go top again. Because if you do, cool, you kill Wunder, we get 3 kills on the bottom side of the map. It's actually just really intelligent from them to keep forcing the tempo away from Wunder, who is now level 7 and has almost a 20 CS lead over Fit.
Yeah, and that's a great game plan from G2, but I want to give credit one more time to Inspired for understanding that that is exactly what G2 are going for, because that almost resulted in a lot more for G2, and he's been able to stem the bleeding bleeding a bit. Now, I will say, because he died in that play earlier on, where we were expecting him to be out-leveling Jankos, he has now just ticked over to level 6. Jankos has an entire level lead because he's just taken pretty much every single Scuttle Crab this entire game, has a 15 CS advantage while he's down in kills. And it's an item lead over towards Inspired. Granted, Jankos still has money to spend here. This bodes very well for that sort of mid lane 2 versus 2 where G2 want to unlock caps further to get around the map and set up dives alongside Jankos.
Well, right now, the Rogue mid lane and jungle are going to start up this Rift Herald. There's a big swap that has come out. Hans Summer's been drawn to the mid lane. Vander's here as well. And the Rift Herald will be claimed, but Perkz is just free pushing in the bottom lane while all of this is happening. Yeah,
and this is just G2 saying we want to trade objectives on the other side of the map. We don't necessarily need to go for the fight right now. A lot of that has to be sort of spurred on by the fact that Jankos has not gone for a base just yet, and also Kayle needs some more time before she has the same relevancy within a fight as Finn would on the Ornn. So there will be solo plates going into Perkz' pockets, but at the same time, Inspired has that Rift Herald, which he can drop once they get this turret just a little bit low to knock it down completely.
So the timers you have to look at here are, do we have Destiny available? Can Caps come and join this? Because then Rogue might be a little bit more tentative, a little bit more scared of making this play. But because the Destiny isn't up and Wunder can't just leave the lane, this Rift Herald will be summoned. Larssen is going to be funneled to gold. And he is currently about 700 behind, so let's see where he is after the charge comes in. Almost even.
Yep.
A lot of gold going over there to the Corki, and because of the bulwark on the bot lane tower, Perkz wasn't able to work his way through that in time.
So I think it is important to sort of look at the dynamic of how this trade plays out, because it is Rogue with the proactive play to take the Herald, they get the plates up in the top side, but the gold is split between Inspired and Larssen, whereas it all went on to Perkz. So Perkz now has about a 1k lead over Hansam, which is exactly what you want, and they continue to play around this bottom side where Perkz is just free hitting the tower the whole time.
Oh, Call of Portugal's going to come out here. The Abyssal Boy has been used as well, but that's quite a defensive one. Now the turret is still hitting minions. Ragnarok was popped by Inspired as he tried to look for a fight, but all that did was force G2 off the tower. It does keep this turret alive, but G2 do still have a sizable gold lead, about 1,000 ahead at 10 minutes. And we are getting to the point, Ender, where I'll start talking to you and asking you about G2's, mid-power. Are they strong enough? Are they far enough ahead at this point to allow the Kayle to then bridge them into the later portion of the game? Or do we expect that Kayle, just as soon as she hits level 16, to be able to take over this match?
Yeah, well, I think that G2 don't necessarily have to have this giant lead right early on, because I think it is mid-game where their comp is really going to excel playing around side lanes. When Wunder has, finished off his Hex Tech Gunblade, he's going to match up very well against the Ornn, and in a similar story, both Kayle and Corki are both trying to scale up, so they're not delivering massive blows against each other either. But that's where Rek'Sai's mobility and Twisted Fate's ultimate is going to play a major factor in helping G2 set up either a 1-3-1 or a 1-4 and controlling specific quadrants of the enemy jungle to try and deny Inspired at the same time.
We are only 11 minutes into the game, so I haven't quite got to the mid-game yet. Caps is going AP. Yep, Twisted Fate in the mid lane with the Rod of Ages and the Sheen. Expect him to go up towards that Lich Bane next for the extra damage. Hans Summer on his way to an Infinity Edge. Manamune finished on Larssen, and Blade of the Ruin King complete on Perkz as well. So we are starting to get towards those powerful first items for G2, but Rogue are matching the pace.
Yeah, I quite like seeing the AP Twisted Fate come through from Caps. He's also rocking the Unsealed Spellbook, so while his flash is on cooldown, he has the recently buffed Ghost, which is only going to be better on TF now that the ramp-up time for that movement speed has been reset.
Movement speed.
Yeah, you also, if you get takedowns, the Ghost duration extends. So if you land one gold card that gets a pick, maybe you land a second one. That can get a little bit fun here as Jankos finds his way top.
Finn trying to get underneath the turret. Will be there for now, but Jankos just flashes in and there's a kill. G2 4-2 up now. And Inspired is on the other side of the map.
Yeah, so right now Wunder has TP. Caps doesn't quite have the Destiny Gate to be able to enter on in here. They may need Wunder to come on down because Rogue are setting up to look for this dive, but realize they don't quite have the damage at this point in the match, and probably aware that Caps is going to be able to enter soon.
It's just a pretty tricky one as well. When you've got depth charge, when both Perkz and Mikyx have their flashes, you kind of have to execute that pretty effectively. Of course, the Ragnarok could come out from Inspired, but all you have to do is lock up the Aphelios and you mitigate a huge amount of the damage that would come out from Rogue. And now Inspired gonna have to pop that Ragnarok, but he's being chased. The Blast Cone wouldn't get him out, has to flash the wall. Depth charge coming out as well. They're looking for the knockup. Vander gets the Devour just in time, but Perkz now exhausted, is in the middle of 3 Rogue players.
Oh no.
And that was way too greedy from Perkz and a good capitalization from Rogue.
Yeah, so right there, Perkz goes over the wall, not having any vision inside of the river. So Vander showed up at the right moment with both the Devour to block a ton of the damage coming through from Kalista, but more importantly, the exhaust. That completely shuts down Perkz right there, and he ends up paying the price. Now Rogue look for the dive.
Finn gonna get the knock up onto Caps. Vander there with the tongue lash as well, but isn't gonna be able to do too much more. They get the second plate off the turret, and that seems to be what Rogue wanted. But meanwhile, Kayle, level 10, has got all of the plates from this turret, I believe, as Jankos gets caught out just a little bit. He's looking to try and get across the wall and will burrow his way away.
He gets out closely right there to find himself another Scuttle Crab. But yeah, as you were talking about, you know, Kayle free farming up in the top lane. Wunder finds himself that tower. Hansalva trying to do the same bot, but here comes Tahm.
Pistol Voyage
Here comes everyone.
as well. Moonlight Vigil almost gets the damage down onto Caps. The final big one was healed away there by Perkz. Perfect synergy between the missile coming in and the heal being used, but Perkz should just be able to keep himself safe underneath the tower, and it is Larssen's flash and his teleport burned. I do want to come back to that top lane difference though, Ender, because it is 50 CS now. Hextech Gunblade and the Stinger complete. I'd love to know exactly how much gold the difference is there as well.
Yeah, I think it's about 1,500 between the two right now, and that was actually really close 4 minutes ago. Like, even though Wunder did have a big CS lead, because Finn was around for, I believe, some of the turret plates, it got evened out. But with Wunder spending all that time solo up top lane, he's doing very well for himself, and you can see G2, even though Caps has been all over the map doing a great job farming up in their solo lanes, but more importantly, Jankos, a full level and a half lead over Inspired. The expectation coming out of Champ Select was that Inspired always has a half-level lead at least over the Rek'Sai, but that is not the case this game.
Oh, Mikyx tries to land the roof. Larssen just deletes Perkz.
Who needs a jungler when you have mid laners that are never in mid lane? I love it. Larssen comes flying down into the bottom side of the map, and they find another kill, but Caps may be looking for a play himself. I don't think you want to commit to this without Perkz around, though.
Wunder is level 11, so he does have the enhanced auto attacks. Range and a bit of AoE when you get towards that, I think it's 6 stack mark on the Kayle. But the Dragon has been started up here. G2 got the first of the game and really looking for this to try and stop Rogue from being able to delay the game out. Death Charge going to come out onto Larssen, and here goes Wunder looking for the damage. The Ragnarok has been popped, but the Ornn in the front line's already gone down to half HP. Finn there, Jankos trying to get in. Finn will, Inspired will get the smite, but here comes Mikyx. Inspired already going to go down. Mikyx still looking for the chase. The gold cards come out, and Wunder gets another. And Rogue should be able to get back underneath their turret here. Caps does have the gold card, the Call of the Forge card coming out as well. Jankos ulted, and death is defied as he gets underneath the tower. Mikyx goes golden, Jankos survives. Larssen caught out in his face as well as Caps splashes forward. And G2 might not have got the Dragon, but they darn well got the fight.
It's a 4v5 too that G2 are perfectly happy committing towards. Again, they have such an advantage in terms of experience, and that turns into stats, although Caps without an ultimate here is just going to zoom on out of that. Inspired clearly not too happy with that one. Tried to catch Caps recalling inside of the base, but that is a big momentum push here for the side of G2, who are now up 5,000 gold. And while you say, yes, maybe this has delayed a potential Infernal Soul for them by 5 minutes, they have the advantage now to be able to continue pushing the gas and making it very difficult for Rogue to get to the point where they want to fight.
See, Caps got himself a completed Medjai's off the back of that. 10 stacks, so it's already very efficient. We'll be just looking to stack that up as much as he can. Yet to die this game is having a stellar performance on the TF.
Yeah, also with the Swiftness boots, which got buffed, you know, quite a few patches ago, but is a very big deal to be able to close the gap on that Twisted Fate. You saw how, with Caps just sort of running down Rogue one by one with those gold cards, how you can really destroy a team as they're trying to run away from you. And Rogue, for the next few minutes, probably going to be on the defensive a little bit more, you know, just trying to soak up waves, make sure that Larssen can continue to scale up. He's now got 2 items, still waiting to stack that one, and the level 11 bodes well for them, but again, they must get more time under their belts before they can contest.
We are at a point of the game as well where you have to think about whether or not you want to freeze one of these side lanes as Rogue. You could only really do it in the top lane, but G2 are like, okay, well, if you want to try and freeze this, we're going to put all of our pressure up towards the top side to stop you.
Finn's level 9, leave the man alone.
He's stuck underneath the tower by himself. Mikyx just tanks it up. Abyssal Voyage is going to come in, and Vander just delivers himself straight to Caps. He has the gold card. Vander will get underneath the turret. And that's another easy kill for G2. And that's why you can't freeze in this situation, because if you try to, you just get collapsed on by G2, and they're very good at finding you out. They still have the Rift Emerald. Larssen is looking for bottom tier 2 here, but There's a 6,000 gold lead now for G2. They are a huge amount ahead. They've scaled up their Kayle well before her time. She's sitting on a Nash's Tooth and a Hextech Gunblade and level 12. And it becomes a much harder task now for Rogue.
Honestly, if you're Rogue, I think you let the Rift Herald kill the inhibitor. And that is what Finn is doing right now. Finn is level 9 to the level 12. Yeah, go top lane. Show the inhibitor killing that one. Finn's just AFK, you know, trying to forge an item in its face. Boom. It's gone.
It's gone.
So that's the right call, because again, Rogue have no, they have no property on this map anymore. The jungle belongs to G2 from this point onwards. The only CS that Finn can get, or his carries can get, are going to be very safely throughout that top lane. I even think having this turret alive down in the bot lane for Rogue is bad news for them, because the longer Wunder allows minions to be sacrificed into the tower, that's a wave that Rogue is going to be losing. And I was talking about sort of the breakpoints. Rogue need more time. Well, if you look at the gold, their carries, the Corki is not actually that far behind. He's actually ahead in gold against a 5-kill Twisted Fate. And yes, bot lane is down quite a bit at this point, but it is top lane that has been completely destroyed. Finn has no presence on the map and needs to hit, you know, 3-4 more levels before he can start handing out those items that his team needs. He doesn't have a passive. That sucks, man.
It really does. And Wunder, he's just going to go to town on this turret.
He has the same amount of gold as Mikyx, for context. Like, yikes.
I think all you're telling me is that supports are underpowered. As Cap's going to jump in here in the top lane looking for Larssen. Teleport's going to be used. Finn will use the Call of the Forge God. Caps does not have the flash. Must have used it early on to try and catch out the Corki, but he's got the fancy feet. He's got the dodging shoes on. He gets himself away. Mikyx is pushing in the bottom lane with Wunder, I believe, but they've been forced off the turret.
And this is where G2 will just dance all over Rogue. Finn, of course, trying to TP in. We saw this in the last game where Vitality were very far behind. You just try to force picks on side lanes. That time, not going to work out. Again, the Twisted Fate, too fast with the movement speed from Lichbane. He's probably got Celerity, Water Walking, you know, the whole 9 yards. They're actually splashed into Sorcery, so it's probably just either the Celerity and then the Nimbus Cloak, which is going to be a very big deal on the man. Can switch over to Ghost too whenever he wants. So.
Exactly right, and that front-loaded movement speed is just so good for a Twisted Fate. He's gone for Exhaust Flash right now though, and the Dragon is up in about 8 seconds time, Ender, but as you said, it feels like G2 have an opportunity to style here for a few minutes as they wait for their next major objective. 7,000 gold up. Rogue, though, playing around Vision once again. We've seen them do this in the past, and it has worked out for them so far this in summer. But they can't quite seem to find anyone right now.
Well, it's really hard, too, with their composition, because how do you find that pick, you know? Like, you have slows from an Olaf. If Aphelios has the right guns, you have some CC, but there he had Calibrum and Crescendum, I believe, which is not going to offer you any sort of hard lockdown. So unless Finn is around...
Yeah. You could lick him.
I mean, you could lick him.
Lick him is the slow.
Yeah, you know, I think G2 would probably wash that off at this point in the game. It's not too impactful for them so far. But yeah, these are the problems for Rogue, is that they don't have the tools to be able to slow things down.
And right now, Inspired is getting chased out of his own jungle. Just ult him, you say, but Wunder instead secures the kill. He's on a killing spree. He's having a stellar performance on this Kayle, and we're seeing more of the G2 that really dominated in spring. You know, the G2 that 3-0'd Fnatic in the finals. It's still not quite their former selves. I think we still hold a little bit of hesitation, but this week of G2 looks so much better than last.
Well, Medic, it's going to come all down to this. Corki has the package. Larssen wants to get into this fight, but there's no jungler, and there's also Kalista on G2.
Just steal it anyway. Moonlight Mitchell! Whoa, the Infernum damage does a huge amount. Here comes the package as well, but the Sun Card's going to land. Wunder chased off by the Baron itself, and Summer splashing forward. He gets 1, he gets 2. It all comes down to this set Ender, and Rogue are not willing to give it up yet. They find 2 kills. Jankos is going to take out Larssen, but Summer is still on the chase. Jankos trying to get to the blast cone, won't get there in time. Summer takes the kill, and Rogue can look towards the Baron.
I want to be very clear with this. Rogue had absolutely no business winning a team fight down that much, but Aphelios has destroyed it, and now Caps is in the base.
No, I don't care about the Marco. I don't care about the last fight, because Caps is looking for the end. Are they going to be able to get back in time? Okay,
they're going to get it. They're going to get it. And he's out of there.
What?
Well, he's sort of out of there.
Super short, Destiny.
Everyone's ulting short in this one. He's fast enough; he'll be able to walk that one out.
He does stop the Baron and he gets the Nexus Tower. So.
Sure. No, like that was definitely good there from Caps using the TP to get into the base there. But no, you're fine, Medic. Like, I thought that was great. I mean, it was important. Caps was inside the base, but I mean, the way they play the Summer's ultimate. You know, we've seen a lot of Aphelios ults with in the first 2 weeks of the LEC, but that was nasty, combined with Larssen, splitting the fight right in half there with the Corki package. Really nice stuff from Rogue, and it shows you that even when they're down, 8k gold, however much it was before that fight, they have the ideas of how to approach these team fights, and that has been such a strength for them in their first 4 games. While they're still very much down in this match, it has given them much needed time again to get towards their level ups.
Only getting, getting towards those 3 items, getting towards those full builds on Rogue. You've got Infinity Edge Runaan's and parts of a Death Stance for Hans Summer. You've got the Death Stance already complete on Larssen. Finn almost has a passive. He's level 12, so he's getting that a little bit more out of the fullness of Ornn's kits. And if Rogue can delay and keep the gold lead, within 7,000, within 6,000, they do have a chance of getting back into this game.
All right, so this is going to be the pick on towards Inspired. Again, not a lot he can do with this. Like, look at the vision inside the jungle. Like, there's control ward so far up here that Inspired doesn't really have any business being there in that side of the jungle. Also can't use the Blast Plant to get out because he has ult. But watch this. Again, Hansama over the wall with the Infernum does so much upfront damage, catching, I believe, all 5 members of G2, absolutely nuking them. Perkz has to flash away, and then it's that package which divides the fight straight in half. This is beautiful because it means that Wunder and Mikyx have to run upwards instead of towards their base, which ends up resulting in a whole lot of kills there for G2 once the chase downs came through. Or for Rogue, rather, got the kills.
And then Caps TPs into the base. But we're not going to watch that again because Jankos is trying to push in towards this top lane inhibitor that has respawned. You can see the damage from Aphelios there. 80 carry difference. Perkz, maybe you should go back to mid, mate. 52? Oof. That was a joke, everyone. That was
Disclaimer.
A joke.
Disclaimer.
/S at the end of that. But yes, the inhibitor respawning does allow Rogue just that little bit more freedom on the map. It means they don't have the super minions pushing in top.
Now here's the thing, is G2 have been slowed down a bit. And remember, when they lost that Mountain Drake earlier on, it added 5 minutes to the timer of the Infernal Soul, which is a big team, or which is a big deal for a composition that's trying to really pop off around that mid game. And again, I say that's because a lot of their champions are mid game champions. Kayle, of course, does wonderful things later on and is already in her late game with 3 items completed, and that's going to be a problem for Rogue very clearly. But how Rogue have played a couple times now have kept them in this match, and we've seen how ridiculous Corki can also be. One of the strengths of Corki 2 up against the Kayle is that you can outrange that Kayle in later on fights, and when she drops her ultimate down, that is the only way to beat a Kayle, is to either have like a billion CCs or be able to outrange her, and that's where Aphelios with, a Calibrum can come into play, or with his ultimate, and of course that Corki 2.
Issue is going to be that Wunder is almost level 16.
Yeah.
That Finn isn't really finding a wave to farm. They put him down towards the bottom lane now, and maybe he'll get 1 or 2 waves.
Yeah, all those points would be great if the gold was even.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the fact that, can we just check in on Wunder one more time? Yeah, okay, that is now a 5,000 gold lead, but I will say that Larssen is right on par with him. So again, trying to keep up in those ways.
Yeah, but Caps is the same as Wunder, and Perkz is the same as Wunder as well. So saying
just let me say that some players on Rogue's team have done well, okay?
They have done well. They have done well. We should, as you say, we should definitely give them credit for the ability to stick in this game, especially around that Baron fight. And maybe they will find it again. Maybe they'll find that special something that means that Wunder's caught out, or they can burst him before he gets his ultimate.
Yeah. The other important thing is G2 are struggling to close, and I don't think it's a problem necessarily with how G2 are playing, but more the nature of their composition, because they can actually force fights if Rogue are pushing up a little bit inside lanes, but the fact is they destroyed all the turrets outside of the base, so now they have to take a fight to Rogue, which we still feel like they're going to win on their current itemization, but haven't felt super comfortable just freely starting up that Baron, and of course still waiting on that Infernal.
Destiny coming out. Here's the force. The flank position, and here is the force fight. As you say, Cap's going to get the red card in there. Ragnarok coming out from Inspired as well. Vander's going to flash across the wall, and Rogue are able to disengage. Now, Finn does still have the ultimate if they want to go back in, but for now, I think you settle with what you got. You got the Fate's Core, you got the Depth Charge, you got the Destiny Gate out, and Rogue, yes, you burned some of your summoners and the flash on Hans Summer, but you managed to survive.
I mean, that is without a doubt a win for G2. Obviously, They have to be careful without a lot of ultimates coming into if Rogue are able to engage right here. But no flash on Hans or Vander in the next 5 minutes means Infernal Drake is possible. Caps has Ghost and Flash. Jankos has his Flash too. So all these tools are going to be very hard for Hansama and Vander to deal with in the next fight. And that is where they need to regroup, sort of turtle up, and figure out how do we actually approach these neutral objectives, which could very well be game-ending.
Especially with the Infernal Soul coming up in 3 minutes' time, and you force Rogue to step out of their base. Either you give up the Infernal and you say, not only are the fires of the swords coming out from Kayle not enough, but we're going to give them extra flames just on top of them.
Level 16.
There we go.
No.
Ding, ding, time's up. We'll see if Wunder can now take on over the game.
He's already taken over the game.
He's pretty strong. He's pretty beefy.
When we've seen him in fights, he hasn't been around for every single one.
I'm an optimist, Ender, you know?
For sure.
Hasn't taken over the game until Rogue give up hope, and they have yet to do that. They are standing firm outside their base.
One thing that Hansama and Larssen are going to be missing on top of the Flash for Hans, no QSS, which in a lot of games isn't going to be the biggest problem, but here when Caps is going to be eyeing you out and trying to find you with the gold card could be a problem, especially now that he has the Zonias, because what I've seen from a lot of Twisted Fates around the world is they get aggressive with the Twisted Fate ults, and you know, when you have a Zonias, that makes those look really good. You just drop a gold card onto a backliner, you pop the Zonias, and then you can maybe flash away if needed, or your team regroups behind you. So Hans and Larssen need to be on top of that, and of course Vander watching to devour any targets that get CC'd.
Did see the first ornament upgraded there for Hansama. Wunder, okay, he just jumps on in. Hansama and Finn Finn gonna try and defend
Vander's not here!
Vander is not here to save Hansama, and even the Forge God will not save you now. Rogue gonna try and collapse onto this, but Finn is dead. Perkz continues to jump amongst the rest of the Rogue players. Caps is stepping forward, and this has to be it. Larssen knocked up, gobbled up by Vander, spat out back towards the fountain, but he can't do much to save his team now. Perkz, though exhausted, might have stepped a little bit too far. Caps once again looking for the stun, lands on Larssen as he goes in with the package, and now Perkz, somehow still alive, will eventually die. Larssen taken out as well, and Wunder didn't even need to take over the game because the rest of G2 were there to back him up. G2, well, they had a very strong early game. Their mid-game, perhaps a slight decision-making problem at the Baron, but once again, they find their form, they find their fight, and they will find their third win here in summer.
Nobody's undefeated anymore in the LEC. Our top end looking